Hey, it's Melissa. I'm the writer and publisher at Wanging Dude Publishing. How are you? I hope you're doing great. Please see below for any ways you can support the channel if you would like. Also, please consider buying my book come May. I'm trying for a March pre-sale. So let me tell you what's going on. So currently, I am still waiting on reviews to come in. And I am also recording the audiobook and editing that. And basically sitting in my closet for soundproofing and doing it. So if you think that some of these audiobooks are done in a fancy way, my son is a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. And as of this recording, the third movie is, a super success. And I watched the main guy who plays Sonic, the voice actor, talk about how, he forgets about how big this franchise is until he goes out and sees all the advertising. Because when he's doing it, he's sitting in a small little booth for months that may be interacting with two other people throughout the recording in order to get a movie done. And so it's funny when you don't work in any kind of media, you think it's all fancy. TV studios and movie studios make it seem like it's fancy, but most of the time it's not. So again, the audiobook is me sitting on the floor, literally with a stool and my microphone and recording it in the closet because that's the one place that you won't have any sound. It's very soundproof. It's one of the best soundproof places that you can be in your home. So that's where I am. And I have been struggling with distribution. Now, this is a conversation for people who are thinking about doing their own publishing. Wanging Dude Publishing is my publishing imprint. And it's basically a publishing house that I created for my own works. And this is the first one. And I am fine with writing. I'm fine with editing. I hired an editor. I don't think you should edit your own work, for the final product. Uh, I hired a book designer. I'm fine with all the creation of the product. But my limitation comes into sales, it comes into distribution. And so one of the magazines that has edited my book, or reviewed my book, I should say, is Kirkus Reviews. Now, this is not a publication that I was familiar with before I ventured out into self-publishing. But Kirkus Reviews is a prominent book review entity, and they are very fair to independent books as well as books from traditional publishers. So, they are someone who does charge for their reviews because there's such an overwhelming demand. And some of the resources that I've mentioned in this channel, in previous videos, books that I use to resource or, to research and use as resources for this effort, all suggested that Kirkus Reviews is worth the money, and because they're a legitimate entity. There are plenty of other places that would, probably try to make money off a review, and some people pay for good reviews. This is the same. I hate to be the Wizard of Oz with the man behind the curtain, but it's the same with podcasts. Sometimes it's the same with other media entities. Not every follower, not every listener is somebody that authentically found a podcast. Same with social media. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but it may make you feel better about your own social media channels. Not every big social media channel authentically got those views or those subscribers. There are companies out there that will, for a fee, bolster those numbers. And I've never been one to really want to do that. It's like when I would run for like an elected office in high school, when I was running for student body president, I didn't want to vote for myself. I'm one of those people that it just does not seem right. So I've never been one to purchase those services. And I didn't intend to do that with reviews because for some that will charge for a review, they're going to give you a good review, right? For the money. Kirkus is different. And so it is a legitimate company and they do charge, but they let you know that just because you're paying for it, all you're doing is reserving a slot that is in high demand of their reviewers. What you're not doing is guaranteeing a good review. And so they warn you about that. They're like, make sure before you spend the money that you understand that we're going to review it. We're going to tell you it's bad if it's bad, if you pay for it. So The only review that I paid for was Kirkus Reviews because I wanted that slot. And so I got the slot. And fortunately, they gave me a good review. And I didn't get a star. Apparently, Kirkus Reviews gives stars to the top books, but I did get, and I forgot what it's called, but it's either a great book or a must read or something like that. So I've been very fortunate that Kirkus enjoyed my book. And they reached out to me because they were like, we offer marketing services too. I don't know if I'm going to use them for marketing services, but I did entertain the call. And all of this is leading to the distribution because they were asking questions about, okay, who's your audience and what is your distribution plan? And I said, well, I know most people get their books off Amazon. And I'm like, my first priority is to make sure that I'm on Amazon for the sale of this book. And so basically to break it down is my goal was not to do print on demand because I mentioned in previous videos I've done that with a children's book. It drove up the cost of the book and and I guess it was because of the company I was working with, so I wasn't doing it myself. I was having a company do it, so they were passing the cost off to me. So basically there was not much profit off of each book that we sold. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do it myself. And so I have been in charge of everything up to this point. Well, the woman I spoke with at Kirkus, we had this long conversation, and she said, well, unfortunately, things are changing to where a lot of these companies, and yes, because, these companies want to get a cut off of everything, that even Amazon, if you use Amazon to print your books, I mean, then I don't have to worry about shipping and making sure people get it on time and get it on the day that it's published. And they also get you into something called Ingram Spark, which is Ingram, big distribution house for people who have published several books. So there's Ingram, there's Baker and Taylor, I believe is their name. So there's these big distribution houses that work with these best-selling authors, right? To make sure they get into libraries, to make sure they get into bookstores, to make, so if you work with a huge publisher, you don't have to worry about these things. But as an independent publisher, you got to figure all these things out. And usually it's these little piecemeal, points of, okay, I got to, and in my mind, as I'm planning this, I've had to be like, okay, first I got to get the book, the editing the book. Okay, now I've got to get libraries and I've got to bookstores and maybe gift shops at hospitals because it deals with, illnesses. And I've had to just do it all myself and try to come up with those lists and how to do it. But the problem is libraries and bookstores aren't going to work with you. And they're only going to work. Now, independent bookstores, maybe. I'm still going to ship out galleys to independent bookstores. But it's corporate. We live in a corporate world. And so Ingram Spark is the only main distribution point for independent publishers. And they're the only ones that is a place that can get you into libraries and can get you into these places that, because I can't just call a library and say, hey, will you take I mean, I could, but I doubt they would do it. So that's been the biggest obstacle for me is distribution. I know a lot of authors that just, sell it on their own site and just take care of it themselves. And I'm like, I want to tackle this Amazon thing. So with Amazon, I'm still going to do the research on it, but I just wanted to share what was going on. And if you have any suggestions or any insight, please put in the comments below, because this is the area that is a little dark for me. Like, I don't know this area very well. But her suggestion was you may as well just relent and let Amazon do the print on demand for your book. And that way you're in these distribution avenues. And then you can use your printer, a local company I used to print the galleys, if you do like your own thing. If you do your own book signings and you handle your own gig, then you've got someone that will ship you the books that you need. So that's something I have to consider. And maybe my concerns about Amazon are unfounded because my biggest thing was I just don't want to drive up the price. So that's why I have to explore. I have a price point that is, the same as any similar book that you would buy from a big publisher or not. So I'm trying not to have you pay more just because I'm doing this myself. And if that's the case where I'm on Amazon and it's the price point that I'm thinking about, it's just the fact that Amazon's going to take a bigger cut of it, that's fine because the most important point for me is for this book to touch somebody's life if it does. Because this book is about my health journey from the beginning of my life until now, all the health issues that I've had to deal with. And the point of the book is to make those who have either suffered from an illness, who are just, newly diagnosed with an illness, or those who have been caretakers, or those who have had an illness and got over it, whatever it is, those are the people who I want to read the book because hopefully they'll be like, oh my gosh, whew, girl, I thought I was alone. Or thank you so much for sharing that because I get really vulnerable in this book, physically and emotionally. And so anyway, so now I'm the artist who's like, I just want my art out there. And I have to now be the business person who says, okay, how do I get my art out there? So if Amazon is like, you can, if I can get this price point, and Amazon's like, we'll do the print on demand, we just take a bigger cut and we'll get you an Ingram Spark, then all right. Then I say yes. So that's where I am. I have to explore with Amazon. Is this how this works? And then we go from there. Now, why am I telling you all this? Why am I trying to get into Amazon? Because as of, this is the beginning of February that this video is being released because I want to do a pre-sale. Because I'd like for people who are interested in the book to go ahead and be able to get their hands on it on the day that it comes out. And so that's my goal is to have at least a couple months of pre-sale before it's released. So that's where we are. Any questions, any feedback, I would love it. You can put it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for following the channel. Even if you're not planning on publishing your own book and just following along, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.